Hello everybody. I hope that your Sunday is going well. I don't know why I did that. Why it was so short. If you hear any kind of subdued buzz, that's my massager. I got a very good friend got me one of those back massagers that you put on the chair, and this time it was a really good one. So as my back muscles are pestering me, I have to run it from time to time. Hi Sonia. So last time we spent almost an hour making these pretty background. And this part from this line up is the sky, and this part from this line down is the water. Now I've been thinking what would be the nicest way to do this, because just to make a simple general landscape wouldn't be that extraordinary. So I'm going to add a couple elements. Hi Gayleen, hi Fran. So what I thought of doing was, because I was originally going to go a little bit Bob Ross on you. Hi Milton. Hi Nicole. So I thought of putting a little mountain here, and some trees and stuff. But then I thought, why not put a small castle on the mountain? Because that would make it even nicer. And I'll put some birds in the sky and stuff. But the main thing that you need to be aware of is that you will need some, for most of this. Hi Beth. Hi Susan. For most of this you will need softened up clay. And because of what we are working with, and this is another thing that I did show before, but for everybody who's new, I want to show it once again. When you soften up the clay for this, the same as you do for the, if you remember the clay inlaying clay, like when you put a stamp, you bake it, and then you fill that stamp with clay, and then you clean the extra clay, and then you bake it again, and then you sand nicely, and you have a nice inclusion. The same thing. Do not use, of course you can use liquid clay, but your best bet is to use bake and bond. Sorry, the label on my bottle looks really bad because I'm using it all the time. But why using bake and bond? Because if you use the bake and bond to soften your clay, you don't have to worry about putting bake and bond between the raw clay, the baked clay, and the raw clay, obviously. So that's going to kind of cut your work really a lot. And the way that you do it, first of all, get it in your hand. So we're gonna first do some clouds. First, get it flattened with your fingers as much as you can, and then add, because you have to soften it up to a certain degree, and that's why I'm going to do all this, so you can see how you're working it. Of course it's going to come out all the liquid, and if you don't like the feeling of bake and bond and liquid clay on your fingers, go ahead and use nitrile or latex gloves. Most of the time I do not use any kind, even if I'm not latex or nitrile allergic, but I do have nerve damage in my fingertips, so I don't feel a lot. And if on top of that I wear gloves, then I don't feel a lot. I don't feel anything anymore, pretty much. So, and also I like to get my hands dirty. Since I was a child, I was like that. So I got all that. It looked like a lot, right? And this is the test. You get it kind of like in a little sausage and pull. It is pretty much good, actually. I'm going to add just a little bit more, because your idea is that it has to be very stretchy, super stretchy. But because I want to do a little bit of feathering in clay lingo, clay slang, if you want, is bring in one color of a clay on top of another color with your, most of the time you use your finger for that, and I'll show you here in a second how you do feathering. And it's used a lot when trying to make nice, like when you're joining two kinds of clay, or when you're trying to obtain a certain effect. And you keep going. See how now it's a little bit sticky, it sticks a little bit to my fingers. So let's do again that stretch test. See how long it goes before it breaks. Hi Isabel, hi Elaine. So just real short, let's get, I got some translucent here that I keep to clean the pasta machine. So I'm going to feather some white over it, just as a small demonstration for beginners who might be watching this. So let's say I'm putting this on top, and then, as I said, you can use a sculpting tool. This is feathering. See, it looks a little bit like the I don't know how these are called of a feather. The down of a feather. And then you can also, as I said, you can also use your finger to do this. And this is done, the finger thing is done when you try to join two pieces without the line of the joint being noticeable. Like if I put these together, even if I go over them with the roller, you'll still be able to see this line. So I'm going to go ahead and feather it, and now you cannot see the line anymore. Now, why did I want some white? Because I want first to do some clouds. And I'm sorry, I got some stuff on my eyeglasses. I have Dollar Tree eyeglasses here because they break and they get attacked by, what the heck is this? By the polymer clay. I might even get droplets of varnish or other stuff on them. So okay, now let's make some. And see, with the clouds you can, because if you can notice, I have some areas here where I kind of nicked with my fingers. So let's go ahead and cover these areas with clouds. And what I'm going to do, because this is the morning, right? This is the morning. So what I'm going to do is to grab just a touch of red. I'm going to grab a little bit of this white. And I already made here two different hues of gray, because the thing is, whenever you're trying to paint or sculpt this type of sculpture or whatever, on a landscape, whatever is more far away, the color will be more muted, will be more grayish. So everything that we are going to make that is far away, we'll have to change the color to a muted grayish hue of whatever we have in the front. So I'm going to mix this here with the red, and then I'm going to separate it in two, and I'm going to mix with one of them the darker gray and with the other the lighter gray. They are itty bitty pieces, and I don't recommend that you make big pieces because you're not going to use a whole lot. So just work in small quantities. They are much easier than having to do the pasta machine all the time. And I am saying that even if, as you know, my fingers are not very good, especially when it comes to pinching motion. I still don't find this too hard to achieve. One way of mixing faster, just do it in a string and twist it. The same as rolling will hasten your Skinner blends. Now, whenever we have clouds over a sunset or a sunrise, and as I said, these will be a sunrise pretty much, you will notice that the bottom part is going to be darker and the top part is going to be much lighter. Okay, let me turn this off now. Because of the way that the light comes through. So I'm going to get me a few strings of the darker grayish pink, and I'm going to make these strings fairly thin. They don't have to be perfect. Let's put a cloud here. Come on, stay there. Let's get one here. Oops. One here. No, I need to clean my fingers because there's too much bacon bun on my fingers and everything sticks to them. Stay there. See, everything sticks to my fingers. Don't forget, after working with this, always use some hand cream, because otherwise all this is going to ruin your hands. And I'm going to make them a little bit on the flat end, and I'm turning this because it's much easier to do them vertically. Pretty much. Remember, this you can find it in my Amazon influencer store. If you scroll on the tools, sculpting tools, all the way to the bottom, you'll find the set of wax carvers, because these is what, and you get 12 of them for less than $10. And these are my most favorite method of sculpting. Can you use something else? Absolutely, you can use ball styluses. And let me, because this will be pretty much everybody would have a ball stylus. So let me put this aside for a bit and show you how to do this with the ball stylus. We want to make it fairly elongated. Let's see, that's why I prefer the wax carver, because it's so first you create the shape. That's what you're interested first. Hi Francis, hi Horseshine. So just press against the background and it should stick right on. You might have to clean your sculpting tool from time to time. Just with the paper towel soaked in alcohol should do it. Next, we are going to place some of the lighter pink. And I'm going to actually, I got a little bit of the lighter pink and I'm going, half of it, I'm going to mix it with white. So again, I'm going to make a string of the lighter pink, and I have 3 areas here. And then the whiter grayish pink. So it looks right now like little worms, right? So again, let me make sure that my ball stylus is clean, because all you need to do at this point is to just stick the clay on the background. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to work with my sculpting tool because I prefer it to the ball styluses. It is so much more convenient. And make sure that you get all the coloring together here. As I said, for now we just stick the colors in. To the background. So now we have something like this. We can start spreading it more horizontally. You can make more clouds if you want, of course. So we have something like this. Now I'm going to use my fingers again. And I want to be... So I'm going to leave these as they are for now. I'm going to come back to them. But let's make a faraway mountain first. And for this I'm going to get the darker gray first, and then I'm going to mix to it just a smidgen. This is the navy blue. You can use any other blue, honestly. And you see I have this like this. I'm going to place the navy blue here, and then I'm going to place some white on the other side so that I create pretty much a skinner blend. Get this out of the way. But at the same time, while I'm creating the skinner blend, I'm going to put a little bit of bacon bond in. Yes, we are going to pretty much put bacon bond on everything. And like with any other skinner blend, I'm going to fan fold it. Remember, all my skinner blend has to be pretty much grayish, right? That's the only problem is the stickiness. But if you, I mean, you can work without bacon bond, only that you have to be aware that you'll have to put bacon bond under everything, that you're making. So it's not going to be that easy. I prefer to do it this way. And I keep rolling to hasten the mixing of the skinner blend. It's not very hard to make it, it just takes a few rolls. But you want the mountain that's a little bit farther away to have a bluish hue. Because if you look at any photo of mountains, you'll see that the ones that are farther away will be a grayish blue, and the farther they are, the more gray they are, before they get close enough that you can see actually browns and greens and all that. Okay, one more roll and I should be good. But you don't have to go perfect. Remember what I keep telling you, what you need to do usually in art, it's not, except for the super realism, Generally, art is based on what the eye sees and the brain translates, if you want. Like, for example, it's enough to see a segment of a butterfly's wing for our brain to already complete that segment with the notion of butterfly. Or it's enough to see just a segment of strawberry for your brain to already translate that into strawberry, right? Okay, so my Skinner blend is fairly good, pretty much what I wanted, but I want it a little bit thinner, so let me use a cosmetic sponge so that it won't stick to my roller, and see how close I can, how thin I can go. I need it a little bit thinner than this. But you don't want, yeah, you want to do 3D, but you don't want that 3D to become too thick. So now let's grab it from here. And what I'm going to want is first to do a mountain shape. I'm going to put this here because I might still need it. And let's see if we are going to need all of this. So this will be a more far away mountain. Okay, now I can start. And you can use this, or you can use the X-Acto knife. I'm going to kind of carve my mountain up. And let's give it a little bit of a rocky top. And here too. Now let's clean this a little bit, because I have a little bit of clay that was left here, so I'm going to use alcohol and clean all this extra from here. Okay, so this is our farther away mountain. Now we can do a closer mountain, and we are going to put a castle on top of it. So for the closer mountain, I'm going to use some jungle green. And I'm going to also use just a smidgen of burnt umber. again, I'm going to use this. So this is the darker. Remember, we use the lighter for far away and the darker for closer. So again, a second mountain, and I'm going to put the jungle green here and the burnt umber here. And this time, to make things fast, I'm going to just make first the skin blend and then put some bacon bond in it. So yeah, for people who got here after I started, I'm making the clay very soft using bacon bond so that I don't have to put bacon bond before each and every element that I'm putting there, because if it is softened and made sticky with bacon bond, it will go directly on my already baked background. And if this is the first time that you see my lives, after this is over, you can head on to see how I made the skin blend for the background. So this, I'm working with small pieces because I don't want to have to make a ton of clay that I'm not going to use on anything else. And as you can see, I'm not using the pasta machine. You can do this by hand without any kind of issues. And also you can do like this to hasten the skin blend making. And again, you don't have to be perfect, and I'll show you here in a second why you don't have to be perfect. Remember the feathering, because we are going to do on both mountains here in a minute feathering. So one more roll, and then at this roll I can start adding the bacon bond. Because theoretically, why I said you don't really need a full perfect skinner blend. You need something that would have a grayish, burnt umber, and jungle green. I'm almost done with the bacon bond filling in. Okay, now I'm going to flatten this like I did for the other one, pretty much into a square as much as I can. Okay, and before I lift it, I'm going to start feathering a little bit. I didn't make it to the thinnest possible. And you can go from both directions. And again, flatten it nicely. Now there's one thing before I put this here, because I don't want, if I would put it directly, hold on, let me clean this. If I would put it directly on the other mountain, it would be raised. Yes, I do. Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna, give me just a second. I need to take my meds. Okay, so if I would put the next mountain over this mountain, it would be raised and it would be very hard to practically conceal that. It wouldn't look good. So let me carve a little bit this mountain off. And again, I'm going to put it here because I might need these. And let's cut this mountain up. And I'm not going to even bother with this one because it looks good enough. Only need to remove it from the horizon line. And this looks good. We have two mountains. One thing that I would like to do, and this you can do with chalk pastels if you want, really, but let's give them both a little bit of snow on top here. That's too much. If you got too far down, you can always push it back up. Okay, this wasn't supposed to be here. Let's make this mountain a little bit more standing out. And I'm going to get a little bit of jungle green. A jungle green has an element of gray in it. If you know my jungle green, because you know that Polyform doesn't make jungle green anymore. And if you know my recipe, you know that it involves black and white, because it does have a grayish element to it. Excuse me. So I made sure that my little bubbles of jungle green are there. And now I'm going to feather them as well to give the illusion of little valleys and rocks and other things. What else can you use to do this feathering? Let me show you. You can use, if you have a paintbrush that's got very short bristles, kind of like this one, or you can cut it to short bristles. That is perfect for all kinds of feathering and even sculpting. I use this kind of brushes whenever I want to, when I'm sculpting like fairies and stuff, and I want to sculpt a little bit like for the face. I need to get some definition like near the nose, the nostrils, the point, the inner corner of the eye, the area between the lower lip and the chin, that kind of stuff. And after you do all your play with this green here, and go again with the cosmetic sponge and make it everything nice and flat. Now let's work a bit. What did I do here? Let's work a bit now, because they've been here for a while, the clouds, and let's work on them. Let me clean my fingers first. So I'm going to first feather them laterally. On both sides, you want to do that. And you might want to lift a little bit in some areas. And let's place just a pinch of pure white at the very top of each cloud. Another trick that will give more realism to the clouds, try to get them a little bit flatter on the bottom, even if you have to cut off part of them. But try to do the bottom a little bit flatter. Let me use this. And once you did that, let's plump them up a little bit. So I went like this, and now just on this white area, I'm going to feather up a little. And make sure that this looks good. And there we have some nice clouds. And I have all kinds of clay all over my fingers. Now here we need to work a little bit more on these. So I just place some alcohol, and that mildly dissolves the clay, so it allows me to kind of burnish all that in place and remove the extra. And now we are good. Now let's make the castle, right? So we need something that will be a little bit lighter on one side. So I'm going to get this lighter gray, and then I'm going to add a little bit of darker gray, and again make a miniature Skinner blend. And I'm gonna have to tell you that today I won't be able to go much past the hour because I'm afraid I'm in the middle of a fibro flare, and sitting on a chair immobile, it's painful. And with this one, you don't have to even do more than a couple rolls. That's pretty much all you have to do. And at this point, watch out, because as I said, it's just tiny pieces. And this one being so tiny, I'm definitely not going to be able to put the bacon bond in it. I'm just going to place a little bit of bacon bond on the background. But this one you want to have a very narrow. See, there's a, the darker is on the right, the lighter is on the left, but I'm trying to keep it very, very narrow. Even if that means to just pull it. So this should be good. Now, where to put the castle? Let's put it right here. Here should be good. So I only need a pinch of bacon bond right here, because the rest is fairly done. And on this one I'm going to actually put a smidgen just to have the same base for everything. This is going to be covered. And first of all, I need to flatten this up. So again, the sponge. And then I'm going to cut little. Hi Cindy, I'm sorry. Yeah, this flu epidemic is horrible. Okay, I'm going to make one tower. That's too high. Right here should be good. And then a second thinner tower. This is a big castle, okay? And then we are going to have, now I can make this wider. So I'm going to roll it again, flatten it, and this time I can, as I said, I can make it wider so I can make my wall. And here we can start doing a little bit of sculpting. Where's my, there it is. Hi Ellen. It's fine. And now we are going to get, let's say this green is too not good enough, but I'm going to get a little bit of the burnt umber, and this time I'm not going to make a Skinner blend. I'm going to feather some white on it. So I'm first making a thin, fairly thin sheet out of it, and then place a pinch of a string of white on the side. Because why? We are considering the sun coming from like here, and this is why this side of the towers is brighter than this side of the towers. And now we make the roofs of the towers. So I got this, and I'm going to gently feather on this burnt umber. If you feather too much, you simply go the other way. Okay, now let's cut the roofs. Let's let the second one now. Very careful, because here what's going to happen is that, see, this part is on a background, so this will be much higher. So I'm going to put this one on top of the other and then cut my roof. But see, the advantages of working with just a little bit of clay means that even if I have some crumbs here that I'm not going to use, it's not a big deal, because it's just plain crumbs. And besides, I can use these with my other stuff here. Just let's make sure that this is straight. Hey. Now let's make a little, first of all, before making any kind of little anything, let's put some windows. Hi, Nikki. Thank you. Okay, so here be very careful, because I don't know how to enhance this. It's really, really tiny. So just put like super tiny specks of black on the towers. They don't have to be right in the middle. You can put several on the same tower, because these would be the openings of the towers, you know, because how they are not really windows, because they are for archers. Oops, that's fine. There we go. Now you can put a gate here if you want to. I mean, that wouldn't be a big deal, but I would just leave it as is. Now let's grab a few crumbs of the darker gray, actually the crumbs that were from the wall, practically. And see how I'm just taking little crumbles from it. I made a small string. And I'm trying to make it as simple as possible, so even somebody who's not very advanced would be able to do something like this. This is why I'm explaining everything. No, thank you, Judy. Okay, now I'm going to flatten this. Because I want this area to be quite flattened. And then I'm going to feather it laterally a little bit. To make a road to the castle, right? And you can actually bring it down a couple times. So it would look more like there's a climb. And you can also grab tiny pieces and place them here to create the feeling of more rocks. This should be good. So we have all that we need. I'm not going to go on dragons and things. That I think that is the best done in a regular tutorial, not in a live. And by the way, I'm still I hope by the end of the month to be completely caught up, or mostly caught up, with my sponsor tutorials, because I was behind due to the fact that cataract surgery and then frozen shoulder and stuff didn't really agree with me, the whole thing. Now, and I'm not going, because we are going to end this session here in a few and continue next Sunday. And I will do the steampunk journal. I decided that I'm going to just do it in a separate tutorial. I mean, video tutorial. The one that we did the back. Okay, so to make birds, get a very, but you should get this mixed with bacon bond first, so that it can stick properly. So you need to make a very thin strip, then place it somewhere here. And press on the middle, and first turn the, you kind of have to have like a V, pretty much, but with the ends, come on, with the ends turned, thinned out. It's not, hold on, I need to clean my fingernails, my fingers again, because everything's sticking to them. Okay, so we get a very small string, and do it so that you wedge out both ends. Where did it go? I lost it. There it is. I told you I don't feel with the tip of my fingers. Okay, then place it on the sky, then press in the middle gently. This if it is with bacon bond, it's going to stick. This one is not with bacon bond, that's why I'm having problems with it. Okay, let me do one at a time. So one wing, I don't think I can do it without bacon bond. Oh shoot. Let me try and explain it like this. So when you do the string, and I'm going to make it larger so you can see. when you do the string should be tapered at both ends, right? Tapered at both ends. And remember, it has to have some bacon bond. Gently hold down in the middle and first bring the both ends up. Gently. So this is your first thing. Then you can use a toothpick, for example, to hold this part up, and then bring back down the tips. So pretty much like this, and then you can do this and gently flatten, and you'll get your wings. You can also do, if you want to do it a little bit more realistic, you can do one wing very thin at the top and the other one kind of feathered to give you the idea of the bird being in a profile. And you can also extend here a little. No, I extended too much, but pretty much like this, and it will look like the bird is flying in a profile, a little bit more to the side than straight from before. Okay, so I'm going to actually bake this so I don't smudge it by mistake. And then next Sunday we are going to do the forests here, and we'll see how much time we have, and I'll show you how to do some lily flowers on the water lily flowers on the lake, and also the shadow of the forests and the clouds and everything. But this is pretty much the castle. And as I said, I would put a dragon, but it's a lot of work, and I don't like to make the live broadcast too complicated. So we can go ahead and do this. You work only with itty bitty pieces, and you just place them where they should be. But this is how you create perspective. And then once we put the forest here, it's going to look, and you can place more mountains if you want. You can make a whole range, only that the more you go in the perspective, the more you want them to be. See, if you would go farther in with more mountains, you want them to go lighter and lighter in the perspective. So you want to go pretty much like this to give you a good realistic tone. And then you put just a tiny bit of white here and feather it like here. I told you it's pulling a Bob Ross. Okay, so I'm going to go get this to bake, and then next time we do the forests and the water lilies. And I'll prepare the front of the steampunk, the black journal that I did the back, in a separate tutorial. I hope you found this interesting and you found a lot of tips on this. And this is not all. We will make more painting. This is just for a journal. As I said, it's a mini series, and the next in the mini series it will be flowers. Okay, so I shall see you next Sunday. Thank you, everybody, and have the best whatever's left of Sunday. Okay? Have a wonderful evening.